Hey guys, Eric with Painting Business Pro here, and in this video we're talking about sales and we're talking about selling to different personality types. So this is one of the more advanced things that we teach our team members. It's not something that's easy to do. It takes time to learn. So at the end of the video, I'm going to teach you a shortcut to selling to different personality types while you actually learn and master it. So why this matters is because there's a lot of personality tests out there, and there's not like 4 different types of people, right? Everybody's very unique, but there's 4 main personality traits or types, and every one of those main types has different preferences. They're different, they act differently, they care about different things, they have different priorities, they have different things that annoy them, they have different things that are really important to them. And you have a main personality type. So if you don't go through this kind of training and understand personality types, then what you're going to do is you're going to go out there and do your estimates and manage people, and you're going to just be your personality type. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's just a missed opportunity. Because if you're this type, you're going to really naturally connect with other people who are the same type as you. People like themselves, people like them. You're going to naturally connect with people like you. And there's also certain personality types that you're naturally going to bump heads with. And you can probably even notice that now that I say it. You know, there's certain types of people that just kind of bother you. You know, like you just can't seem to click. Like it's just so apparent that you just don't click with this person. And we're going to solve that today. Because if you want to be really good at sales, you need to understand the 4 main personality types. You need to understand, how do I identify which personality type someone is? And by the way, I need to be able to identify it almost instantly. I can identify someone's personality type pretty much the second I shake their hand. Definitely in the first 2 minutes. So I need to learn how to identify which personality type am I dealing with? And then lastly, I need to understand, how do I sell to the different personality types? Because they do care about different things. So that's what we're going to get into. I'm going to introduce you to the 4 main personality types, a little bit about them, how to identify them, and how they want to be sold to. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you let's make it 2 tips, all right, about how to get good at this faster than I did. So there's one thing I'm going to give you that's a bit of a shortcut, and there's another thing that I'm going to give you that's going to help you naturally understand people better. So I'm really excited to get to those tips, but first, we got to get into the basics. All right, so there's a lot of personality tests out there, and the one we use in our business, so we train all of our staff, everyone, not just salespeople, we train everyone on personalities because it matters for customer service, it matters for production, it matters for sales, it matters for marketing, and it matters for office managers. Because not only do people want to be sold differently, but they just want to be interacted with differently. So the personality test that we use is called DISC, D-I-S-C. And those are going to be the 4 main personality types as well. So first, we're going to go, so we'll do it across like this. So D-I-S-C. So what these I'll give you what these stand for first. So D stands for dominant. I stands for influence. S is steady. And C is compliance. Now I've also seen I've seen these stand for something different, so don't get hung up on that. You know, I've had some people tell me C is for conscientious and that sort of thing. So don't get hung up on that. So let's look at D first. So D is dominant. All right, so your D personality type, what that is like is I have a high D personality type. So D personality types, and I think I've become a little more rounded over the years. I used to be a higher D, but D is for like people who are really direct, they're impatient, they're to the point, they can come across rude or impatient or arrogant. They don't care much for details. They just want they want to make decisions quickly. They don't want to spend a lot of time. Your D personality types are the people who will make a decision and book with you very, very fast. So Ds are actually really, really easy to sell to if you know how to sell to a D. If you don't understand that they're a D, they can come across very rude, like they really don't like you, they're annoyed with you, and you could shut down. And if you shut down with a D, they will not book with you. You need to rise to the occasion, and you need to mirror their personality type and get to the point. So a D, yeah, direct, decisive, impatient. They don't want a lot of details. They want to get to the point. They want to keep things moving. Now we have I. Okay, so I is for influence. I's are like your highly, highly sociable people, right? They have the bubbly, outgoing personalities. They just love people. They're the jokesters. They're always having a good time. They love building relationships. They have high energy. They've got a lot of, their body language is, they've got a lot of body language going on. I can't come up with the word. It's slipping my mind at the moment. But those are your high I's. Sociable, love people, want to build relationships. It's all about the relationship. They love to build rapport. They don't care much for details. Details will bore them. They don't want to talk about paint. They don't want to talk about any of that. Details will bore them. And that's your high I's. They just very sociable creatures, those high I's. All right. Then we have S. So S stands for steady. Your S personality types are exactly that. They're steady, they're calm, they're patient, they're great listeners, they're really friendly, they're very nice, they're just pretty easygoing, they're chill. They're not ever in a rush, they're not going to rush you, they just kind of go with the flow. They don't particularly like pressure, but they don't get really pissed about it, they just don't want it. They're like, dude, just chill. That's like your S personality type. All right, so again, great listeners, very nice, very friendly, laid back. The difference between these two is energy, right? So your high I is like very outgoing and excitable. Your S is very friendly, but they're not as like up and down emotionally. They're a lot more steady. So that's your S personality type. And then you've got your C. And your C personality type is compliance. So this is like analytical people. Very analytical, highly, highly detail-oriented. They're your engineers, your accountants, your finance people. They're all about details. All right, so they're sometimes a C personality type they're going to they're going to be a little bit more introverted. This is like heavily extroverted. This is much more introverted. So they're not going to be as quick to open up and build rapport. They're going to be a little more guarded. They're not going to be as interested in rapport either at the beginning. Sometimes a C personality type can come across as it's socially awkward. Not like they're awkward, but the rapport isn't there the way it's there with an I personality type. They're very interested in information, all the details, all the facts. They don't want to know your opinion. They want to know the facts, the unbiased stuff. So that's your 4 personality types. So now we're going to go back through and we're going to say, when you go out to an estimate, how do you know what personality type you're dealing with? All right, so first one is D. All right, so how do you know you're dealing with a D personality type? They're going to be pretty aggressive. So they're going to come out, they're going to talk loud, they're going to give you a firm handshake, and they're going to be like ready to get to the point. They're going to be ready to get moving. With a D personality type, I always teach people to start your estimates by building rapport. Like, yeah, so hey, how's it going? So how long have you guys lived here for? Your D personality type is not going to give you anything. They're going to give you one-word answers. They're going to say like, 5 years. Yeah, about 5 years. Cool, where you guys moved from? I've lived here my whole life. Like, that's it. They're not going to give you anything. They're like, okay, let's get to it. Like, I'm here for painting. Let's get to it. I'm busy. I don't want to spend time with this. Like, let's get to it. and they can come across, like I said, rude, standoffish, arrogant. So they're going to be loud, direct, to the point. They're not going to build a lot of rapport. Now, that's definitely not how a C is. A C is not like that at all. An S is not like that at all. And an I is going to build a lot of rapport with you. So it's very easy to notice when you're with a D. And a D personality type is also the person who comes outside, shakes your hand, and just like immediately starts going around the house with you and dives right into the estimate. That's how you identify it's a D personality type. Your I personality type, those are the people who, like, you open the door and you're like, hey, how's it going? And they're excited to see you. Like, genuinely, they're like super friendly right away. Every time. That's an I. All right? They're going to smile and they're going to be excited. And when you start building rapport with them, it's so easy. Like, these are the people that I'll walk in their house and I'll sit down on the couch with them and I'll talk to them for 20 or 30 minutes about nothing to do with paint. And then I'll have to be like, okay, cool, we probably should talk about paint sometime. Ha ha ha. And then we get into talking about paint. All right, so that's how you tell it's an I. They have a lot of energy. They're very friendly. They're going to offer you water or a drink or a cup of coffee. They're going to be in no rush at all. That's an I. It's very obvious when you meet with an I. An S is going to be the same as an I, but less energy. They're going to be like relaxed. Your I is going to be very expressive and have expressive body language, and they're moving and they're smiling and they're laughing and they're louder. There's more energy going on with an I. But an S is the same thing. They open the door and you're like, hey, how's it going? I'm Eric. And they're like, hey man, good to meet you. Like, they're literally like, just chill. They're more laid back, like that. Okay? And they'll be happy to build some rapport too. They don't want to build rapport as long as an I does, but they'll be open to like building some rapport and, being a little friendly. Then you've got your C personality type. So the C is easiest to identify because they're definitely not a D. They're definitely not an I. So it's hard to sometimes tell S or C. The C, the difference between the S and the C is the C personality type is not going to want to build much rapport. See, they're very detail oriented. They have lots of questions for you. There's a lot to cover. We don't have time to build rapport. Like, that's their attitude about it. It's like, hey, look, like, are we here to do a painting estimate or are we here to build rapport? Like, because I have lots of questions. Like, they're not going to say that out loud, but that's kind of how they are about it. So they're not going to be rude and cut you off the way like a D will, but they aren't going to give you a lot to go with in terms of building rapport at the beginning. And so that's how I can usually tell within the first couple minutes, who am I dealing with? D, I, S, or C? Now, of course, there is no straight D, straight I, straight S, straight C. There's combinations, right? Some people are CD, some are DI, some are SC, some are D, I said something else. But you get it, there's a combination. Everyone's going to have a primary, and sometimes you're meeting with a husband and a wife, and they're together, and that's why you'll learn this over time. So now let's talk about, how do these people want to be sold to? How are you going to adapt your sales process? And then at the end of the video, I'm going to go through those 2 quick tips. So how we're going to sell to a D personality type is we're not going to get shut down by their directness. You're not going to cower. You're not going to give up. All right, you're going to stand up a little taller, puff your chest out a little more, be a little more direct. It's a little more like, hey, I respect you, but you respect me, all right? Let's do this thing. Yeah, come on. Let's go around the house. Hey, hold on, man, real quick. I got a question about this. Do you want me to do this, this, or this? Like, I'm literally going to talk faster. I'm going to talk louder. I'm going to be more direct. I'm not going to be as detailed. A D wants, tell me what to do. Like, you're the expert. Tell me. They'll say, yeah, so what do you want me to do with this peeling paint? And they're like, you tell me. What should I do for it? What do you recommend? That's like a D. And I'd say, well, honestly, man, what I recommend doing for this is to scrape it off, get that loose paint off, sand the area so we can rough it up, and then apply some primer so we can really seal it up. That's the best thing to do for all these peeling areas around the house, just to make sure these don't peel again. So do you want me to scrape, sand, and prime these peeling areas around the house for you? That's what I'd recommend. Yep, done. Okay, great, let's move on. And then we're on to the next thing. Decisiveness. Give them the information they need, give them a recommendation, move on. Be direct. Don't step over anything, and get to the point. That's how you sell a D. They love that. And the way a D is going to work is you're going to try to build rapport right when you get in the door, and they're not going to give it to you. But so we sit down and we go over a couple things inside quick, and then when we start walking outside, that's a transition period. I call it transition, from inside to outside. That's when I'm like, yeah, man, so how long have you lived here for? And I start BSing with him. And then we get outside, and I'm like, all right, cool, so show me, what are you concerned about on this side of the house? Do you have any main concerns? And then we're back to paint, being decisive, moving things along. I'm like, all right, anything else on this side? Let's go to the next side. As we're in that transition from this side to the next side, I'm like, man, this is a great yard. You do all this yourself? Or, oh, wow, man, this is great living on the golf course. Are you a golfer? Oh, nice. And I'm building rapport, but I'm not forcing rapport. I'm just like, just being friendly, being cool. But I'm respecting him in that he wants to hurry this along. So I'm not going to waste his time. So what you're going to find happens is when you mirror a D like that, when you interact with them like that, by the end of the estimate, they'll start building rapport with you. Because they kind of put on this front. You know, they'll even say things and shut you down and be like, I don't know, man, I'm just getting estimates right now. Hey, man, I don't know. We're not even going to make a decision today. I just need the estimate. They'll say stuff like that at the beginning, and then 30 minutes later, they'll write you a check. So don't be put off by a D. They're just doing their thing. They're just doing what they do. But they're highly decisive. They want to get it done. They're just not beating around the bush. They'd rather do other things. But when you mirror them like that and you sell them the way they want to be sold, they start to like you. And then they start to build rapport with you. And then they give you money, and then they're pumped about it, and then they send you on their way. And it's like, hey, that guy wasn't so bad after all. If you're a C or an S or an I, you have trouble with Ds. You naturally have trouble with Ds. But you don't have to. You just got to understand them. And we'll talk about the tips in a second. So now let's get to Is. How do we sell an I? How does an I want to be sold? They buy because they trust you, period. You got to cover the paint stuff, but you're not going to go into a lot of detail about the paint stuff. You're going to get to know them. Pet their dog, get to know their dog, get to know them, ask them questions, have fun. It's all about the relationship. When you do get to paint, don't go into the details about it. Just tell them what you're going to do, what you're going to recommend, and that's about it. All right, so that's going to be kind of your I personality type. Just being friendly, building relationship, building rapport, not a lot of details. Don't rush it along. Don't get fed up building rapport. Like, it's all about building a relationship with your high I personality types. It's not a lot about details. And that's really it with an I. They want to feel comfortable with you. They want to trust you. They figure like, hey, this is a good guy. Or I really like her. Like, I trust her. Like, I'm buying you. Like, hey, Eric, I mean, what do you think? And I'm like, honestly, like, you should do this. And they're like, okay. They buy based on the relationship they have with you. S personality type, how they want to be sold is don't rush them. Like, they're taking their time. Take your time. Be thorough. It's kind of a combination of all of them, you know? You're not going to rush them. Just chill. Just relax. Calm down. They aren't getting an estimate for fun. They're like, look, I'm going to make a decision, man. It's like, just don't pressure me. Like, I just got to do my thing. You know, so you're just trust that they're going to make their decision. Kind of give them space to just process it. Take your time. Let them process. Yeah, so this is what I'd recommend for these peeling areas. Have you seen a bunch of these around the house? Cool. So, yeah, what I'd recommend doing for these is, first, power wash will knock some of this off. Second is I'm slowing down. I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing so that they've kind of got their time to just take their time and process it. I'm going to build some rapport, just to get to know them, but I'm not going to build rapport forever. I'm going to kind of move that along. And that's kind of how you sell the S. You just kind of chill out, slow down, take your time. Don't pressure them, don't rush them. Build rapport, but not too much. It's like a nice balance with your S personality type. Now let's look at your C personality type. So this can actually be kind of a fun estimate because, it's just all about giving them the information they need. Give them all the information they need, and they'll make their decision. C personality types, they buy based on information. Most people don't give them all the information that they need. So your C personality type, you just gotta be at their service to give them the information and the education they need. So one thing we do with the C personality type is we always ask them, did that answer your question? So did that answer your question? Do you have any other questions about that? Or sometimes I'll answer a question and be like, so that's a place to start. I could keep going if you want more. And they say, yeah, I'd like to know more. And then I keep going. They are the ones that want to know, how many mils thick do you put on the paint? How do you actually come up with your pricing? Do you remove the gutters or not, and why not? They want to know all the details. They're the ones that you show up and they have questions already ready. So I sit down there and I'm just like, I've got all the time in the world to answer your question, sir. What do you got for me? Okay? And I clarify, so what you're asking is this and this? Okay, well, here are your options. And I don't recommend things. I don't give them my opinion. I give them all the information and I say, so how would you like me to quote that? Do you want me to include both of them for you so you can compare pricing? Yes. Great. It's about providing them all the information they need. That's how you handle a C. You go around the house, you're very detailed when you're explaining the scraping and sanding and priming. You get up to the house and you show them every little detail. You explain why the power wash is going to do this and why we scrape, and can you see that right there, and why we don't need to scrape all the paint off, and why we sand, and what grit sandpaper we use and why, and what primer we use and why primer goes on before paint, and why primer adheres to wood better than paint does and paint adheres better to primer. I mean, we're going into all the details with a C, and they love it. They love it. That's what they want. So that's how you sell these different personality types. So now let's get to the 2 tips I have for you. So the first tip I have for you in beginning this process, because at first you're not going to be able to identify people right away. So there's 3 things you can do to shortcut selling to different personality types. And we call it mirroring. We're going to mirror their tone. We're going to mirror their pace. And we're going to mirror their body language. So their tone. A D is loud and direct. They're fast and they're standoffish. So with the D, I'm going to talk a little louder, a little more direct, and I'm going to stand up straighter a little more and do one of these sometimes, and this and this, and yeah, totally. Well, over here, I'm going to talk louder, faster, more direct, and my body language will be a little more like chest puffed out, shoulders standing up straight, standing tall, like confident posturing. With your I personality type, I'm not going to be a deep and intense tone, so my tone is going to be like fun and expressive. Like, oh yeah, no, that's so, oh my God, you guys have lived here that long too? Me too. Holy crap, I can't believe we've never run into each other before in this small little town. Right? Like, I'm expressive tone, high energy. Pace, usually a little faster, right? It's also a little bit of a faster pace. Like, we're having fun, Woo! And then body language is like expressive. Like, you're not just kind of sitting there, like still. You're going to be doing more of that with an S. With an I, you're like expressive, loud, faster, fun. I'm like literally smiling the whole time. All right, so that's your I. That's how you mirror an I. S, mirror their tone, pace, and body language. And S is going to talk, they're going to be a little more chill. Like, yeah, so, tell me what you guys are looking for in a paint job. And I'm going to be a softer tone, a slower pace, and my body language is going to be relaxed. And that's how I'm going to mirror an S. Relaxed, softer tone, slower. I'm in no rush at all. I'm chill. I'm just kind of chill. I'm relaxed. It's nice. And then your C personality type, well, tone and pace is probably like, tone is just informative. I'm not loud. I'm not soft. I'm just educating them. My pace is taking my time, being detailed, so a little bit slower pace. Body language is focused. I'm focused. I'm looking them in the eye. I'm listening intently. I'm focused. That's how I'm going to shortcut this. All right, so that's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is something we call avatars. So what this is I actually learned this from one of my salespeople, Hillary. She's been working with me forever. And I'm like a D personality type. She's a high I personality type. high. And so she has a lot of trouble selling to Ds. And when we were going through personality training a few years ago, we created these avatars. She's like, oh, like she started doing really well with selling to Ds. And I was like, oh, so what did you know, we were talking on some conference call. I'm like, so what's working for you, Hillary? What'd you learn last week? And she's like, oh, well, I just know that you're a D. So anytime I do an estimate for a D, I'm like, oh, this is just Eric. And I just talk to them like they're you. Because she's known me for so long that she knows, like, when I'm being intense with her, it doesn't shut her down. She's like, oh, it's just Eric being Eric. That's just the D being a D. And so she knows how to interact with me. She knows that's just how I am. And she knows how I tick, and she knows how to talk to me. She knows how to send me an email. She knows how to ask for something. She knows how to work me. Now, so you can do that. So what you want to do is you want an avatar. Like, I'm Hillary's D. Anytime she runs into a D, she just interacts with them like they're me. And then she's got an avatar that's an I. Her brother, Nick, was a salesperson for us at one point. He's a very high C personality type. So for Hillary, Nick is her C. Anytime she's dealing with a C, she knows she's dealing with her brother. So as we go through this, take a look, and you might watch the video again, but who do you know that's a high, who do you know well? Who do you know very well who's a D? Who do you know really well who is an I? Who do you know really well who is an S? And who do you know really well who is a C? And make those people your personality type. And then you can watch this video again and be like, how would I sell to Nick? How would I sell to Eric? And listen to me do this video again and see, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, I get it now. And that will significantly speed up your learning curve if you do these two things. Mirror people, avatars, watch this video again having done those two things, and you will have a whole new relationship to those Ds. So when you get to those estimates and those people are really intense in your face, they're not going to shut you down anymore. You're like, oh, that's just Eric. Or that's just so-and-so. So this is definitely one of those things that you've got to get this nailed down to be, if you don't learn this, you won't ever be as good as you can be. So I hope you enjoyed the video. This is the second video in a series we're doing on how to build a high-performing sales team. Next video, we're going to talk about recruiting, training, and managing to build a high-performing sales team. And then in the fourth video of the series, we're going to talk about one of the other advanced techniques that's required to sell over 50% of your estimates. So I'm really excited for these next videos. They're going to be really powerful videos. If you liked this video, just give it a thumbs up for me. And if you got any questions about it, or I'd love to know what you discovered or what you learned watching this, drop me a comment below. I read and respond to all of them myself. So really hope you enjoyed this, and we will see you again soon.